All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Dave's having some connection troubles. He's trying to get in, but there's something going on. He has a new login link, so he's still working on it. So you got Crusher Crossen right now. We are live. And it's going to be a good show tonight. Studio taping 111 from the Dri-Dock. And hopefully Dave gets in here. I was hoping he would have tried this earlier because when we have a new login link, we got to make sure it's it's all working right. So this is a new login link for him now. So let's just see what happens here. He hopefully will pop in. So studio taping 111 from the Dri-Dock. Should be a good show. While we're waiting for Dave, I'm going to play the video preview for what's going on the Video Network next. As you know, this is a Dri-Dock taping, which is what went on what we're going to watch here. Studio taping 111 is what went on to the network last, the middle of December. So it's been up on the network for a couple weeks now. And almost, or maybe it was, no, I think this came out on the 1st actually. But anyways, what's coming up on the 15th of January, the next one, is what I'm going to show you the preview of. So let's take a look at this video preview, and then hopefully we have Dave come in here very soon. So let me get that video preview for you, and then we will be back.
Yeah.
I've been trying to come back. I've been training, working out. I'm hopefully going to be back in the next show. I don't know. But once I get out, you're guaranteed that you're going to see the jackknife go down.
And we've got some great matches coming up here. As you saw in that news flash, we're going to have Rich Taylor here in a moment. That kid is Matt Kelsey. It looks like he could use a little bit of education in the ways of the TWA.
Well, he must have some courage. He's in here.
Yeah, well,
he's willing to take 2 matches right on top of another. I think this is a very low-down tactic coming from a classy individual such as yourself, Crusher.
Okay, and we're going to get started with this match. Crusher Crossen against Brian Peterson, regular in the TWA. I expect Mike Ackerman. And now he gets right back into another one. Blow to the side of the head, knocks him down. And now Brian Peterson is on the warpath.
Step aside, let's jackknife talk.
Okay, first of all, I ask Crusher Crossen not to interfere with my interview. You're the referee. You're not supposed to do that.
Jackknife. The Baker seems to be taking control right now.
I mean, he's had to wrestle fair and square, and sometimes that can work to his disadvantage.
Yeah, he is. That's one of his.
Excuse me, but I did not exactly enjoy that last punk's wrestling antic. I got a little mad out there. And the next time he tries to pull a stunt like that, I'm gonna have my whole family come out there and waste him.
In the Crusher, I literally saw the eye of the tiger in the Crusher, and I know for a fact he's gonna smell over Jackknife Jacob. Jackknife Jacob does not stand a chance.
Jackknife with the chair. Oh, he rammed it into the ribs of Crusher again. Oh, nice. It looks like I knew I could have won him. I had him under control. He didn't get nothing out of me.
Look at that newcomer. He doesn't know how to handle himself yet.
He's been in the PWA.
Phone number there. We'll flash it up on the screen after this match. When we close, this is the last match.
Actually, I believe that is on the network as of January 1st. That one, I said it was coming up on the 15th. No, that's the one that's on the network on the 1st. That's already up on the network. So I think the next one we watch is going to be, the one that's going to come up on the 15th is going to be the garage taping. Those Group W tapings, that's early stuff. And, the very, very early days of the league. I see some comments coming in here. We got, while we wait for Dave to hopefully get things ironed out. Happy New Year. Yes, a new year. You know, this is an interesting year. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute here. 2025. As far as commemorative, deals, it's kind of an interesting year. I'm gonna mention that. I'll get at that in a second. I just want to get touched up on all the comments coming in. Sky Sports Video News. We missed you. I know it was like a little bit of a break, and of course we've been, forward sure heating up with me and Canary Kid and Ricky Henry, my fine feathered friend, as I like to say. And yeah, so it's kind of fun with him. He's always he likes to try to push my buttons, and he does a good job of that. Let's see. Then we also have Wayne McCarty. Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to that early TV taping. Yeah, that Group W. That's up on the network right now. And like I said, that taping, that one, is Dave and I will get to on the next. We'll be doing the preview here on the next Rewind in 2 weeks. So the one that's also when we're going to do the actual preview of it. So, and yeah. And then Damian Thorne says, hope you had a great holiday season. Yeah, absolutely. It was, holidays are always fun. I always like giving more than receiving, of course. It's always my nature. And so I got a message from Dave. He's rebooting his devices. Hopefully he can get in. I've given him 2 different links to try. I've given him a regular guest link, which usually works no matter what. And then I've also given him his new login link. So hopefully he can get one of these to work. Sometimes you got to try different browsers and stuff. So it might take some trial and error until we get Dave in. But in the meantime, you have Crusher Crossen. Now, what I was going to say, this is an interesting situation. So 2025. Now, as you know, last year, 2024, kind of marked our 40th anniversary of the conception of the league, as far as when we started. 2025 is actually the 40th anniversary of the official NWF World Title belt. It was created in the spring of '85. That's when we made, Steve made the belt. So, and also technically the NWF took its first, we changed the name to NWF, I think in January of '85. So that's kind of like, it's really the 40th anniversary of the NWF official moniker name, and really of the title belt itself. So, we might be doing some special things with that. I think that's going to be very interesting. You're going to find some of the things we have in plan for that. I'm not going to say anything yet because it's still getting worked out. But let's just say it's going to involve our friends. And I'm just going to leave it there and put you guys all in suspense. But as we get things worked out with it, we'll make an announcement. I think it's going to be very interesting. Let's just say that. Pretty cool stuff coming up. So a little bit of a dark horse there. We'll leave you in suspense. I see King Coop in the house. But before I get to King Coop, I just want to say hi to Sports Talk 117. Who won the very first belt? Well, so we had to start with a champion. And yours truly, Crusher Crossen, started out. And that was, of course, in the Kids Quad Cities Pro Wrestling shows, what we called it. That was the very beginning, the basement days. And then, but as far as who was the first wrestler to hold that nice iconic blue belt, it was given to Ace when he was champion. It was made, and he was current champion, so he got that belt, his hands on that belt first. And of course, that was in the middle of all those shoot title matches. So Ace was always, his matches were always like just, fights, but just intense wrestling to try to keep the belt. Is really what Ace did. I also got some other really cool news to share with you guys as well. I just want to kind of get caught up on the comments. King Coop, yes, haven't seen you for a while, Coop. It's good to see you. Long time since you've been here. I've been so busy with things in life. I hope y'all have been doing well. I'm sure you've kind of caught up on the shows and replay, though. I mean, when you get a chance to see them, so you've kind of probably been keeping tabs on us. But yeah, it's things are going good. We keep forward is real fun. Canary Kid's coming into his own on the show. We have we entertain you now quite a lot with the Crusher versus Canary. I keep calling him a coward. and he keeps saying that he just doesn't want to hurt an old man, and we have fun with it. Let's see, and then King Coop says, "How have you been? Also, how are you guys? Wow, you're just talking to everybody else." Yep. And then let's see. Gizmo says, "Did you win the very first and very last belt with the NWF?" Well, I obviously started out with the belt, but there was a time when I lost the belt for just because I wanted to have somebody else have the belt, and that's where I more or less, even though it was shoot title matches, I took a dive myself, didn't tell anybody, just let Ace beat me, and it really ruffled the feathers of some of the kids on the show because he had just come into the show and all of a sudden he wins the belt. But he and then I let him run with it for that whole year of '85, pretty much. I didn't. No, I didn't have it at the end. I ended up losing it to Kid Kelsey, but I never got pinned, never submitted. It was a real weird like disqualification rule waived, and I got disqualified. That's how Kelsey got the belt. Yeah. So, and then King Coop says Canary Kid has been doing great with the shows and hosting and all. Yeah, he does. He's a very, very talented young man. He is very good in his character, very good, at being entertaining and very talented in the ring. Like I said on Wrestling Revolution with Keaton the other week, last week or whatever, last show I was on with him, I said, you watch forward and you think me and Ricky hate each other, and it's nothing further from the truth. I just want to remind everybody we're entertaining you with our characters. Okay, just keep that in mind. But yeah, then that's what wrestling is. It's an entertainment thing, right? So I have some big news though to tell you about with Jamie McParland. Everybody knows Jamie, Ricky Vaughn, Irish Terror, and I'm going to get to that here in a second. King Coop says, Crossen, you were basically the Ric Flair of NWF. You had all the titles, interesting storylines, and all. Yeah, I did. There was a time when me and Kelsey had literally all the titles, like except the lightweight belts. I mean, we were hoarding them, and that didn't go over too well with some of the guys. I'll tell you that. So I actually set a rule at that point that you can only have one belt at a time, because it got a little out of hand with me and Kelsey for a little bit there. So, and I know Matt remembers that time period, and that's really honestly, that's why a lot of the guys on the show got on Matt's case. Like they'd boo him and stuff when they're supposed to be cheering him, and they just get under his skin, needling him like that. But part of it was because he got all these belts, and they ain't going to take it out on me. They're going to take it out, but they will take it out on Matt. And I think Matt just got the blunt end of the stick on all that. So what can you say to that? That's just the politics in wrestling and being a teenager and, just being a kid, not doing things. I would do things so differently as an adult versus when I was a kid, as far as managing things like that. So live and learn, but no, Jamie McParland. So as I told you guys before, Jamie had started a sister league called CWF. It was kind of another off-breed of the NWF. It was going to be his show, his league, and he was going to kind of run kind of like a subsidiary to the NWF, but he'd have his own league. And he did a few shows. He wanted to use our ring, and we weren't using it. I could have very easily let him use the ring, but because I was wanting Jamie to really take ownership of this, I said, no, Jamie, I want you to build a ring like we did and start like we did. Really take ownership of this. It'll mean more to you if you do it that way. It was my kind of silly way of thinking. If I could go back in time, I would do that all different. I would have said, yeah, Jamie, use the ring. We're not using it. It makes sense. I don't know why I did this, but I did. But it did. Jamie did. He built a ring similar to what we'd have in the garage, and he built one and got a permit to go in the park at Coon Rapids. Can you believe that? They gave him a permit. They did. And he did a few tapings. Anyways, point is, he thought he had lost all that stuff. Well, it turns out he got some tapes from his grandparents that they had Betamax, and they recorded a lot of things that Jamie had done. They were kind of hoarders with video and pictures and stuff. They just kept everything. And Jamie stumbled across one of his CWF shows. So he's going to send me whatever he gets, and then we're going to do some restoration with him. We'll do a special watch along with Jamie's show. That should be pretty cool. He's pretty excited, to come across that. It's really cool when you can come across stuff like that's on video or pictures or whatever that you haven't seen in 30, 40 years. And in Jamie's case, that's what he found. So pretty cool stuff. So, but yeah, yeah, I don't know why it's not letting Dave in. That's really strange. The only thing I can do is make him a collaborator, and hopefully he gets his collaborator back again. Let me try doing that quick, and then we'll get started with the watch line. Hopefully Jamie can come in. I'm just gonna make him a collaborator again. Stand by, everybody. And maybe that's a problem. Maybe it's just not letting him with that thing. But if I make him a collaborator, that should work. So let's try it. It's worth a shot. Give me 1 second, everybody. Okay, I sent him a collaborator link, and hopefully that brings him in. So we'll see. Hopefully that works. Just gonna let him know I did that. And then hopefully that will let him in. I'm hoping. I hope that does the trick. We'll find out. But no, that was my news basically. Is what Jamie had uncovered. I think that's pretty cool. But no, I can't go over the other. There's some things in the works with this 40th anniversary of the NWF belt, and I'm just gonna hold off on letting you know because I want to make sure we have things. It's gonna be pretty cool stuff. I think you guys are gonna find it very, very interesting. So just leave a little dark horse in the picture. I'm gonna get this show started, and hopefully when Dave comes in, he'll be in. So. And he'll join us in the watch line. But I'm going to get the tape rolling here, and we can keep going, comments and questions and everything. And yeah. So yep, studio taping 111 from the Dri-Dock, Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. Really good setting. I loved it there. It was a good deal. And of course, the new intros, rebuilt and everything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week of the National Wrestling Federation. Tonight we'll be starting off with quite a long.
All right, Jason Crossen, such a good announcer. First announcer to go into our Hall of Fame. Tina Louise back. See? Yep. Good to see you again, Tina. The crowd at the Dri-Dock was pretty good. This wasn't as big of a crowd as we had in the past. Like, we had some really big crowds in here. This one, that's all right. But, I mean, this place would completely get packed out in some of the shows we did here late, following this one.
of Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. Before our first match, are you taking a break? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you please stay tuned before our first match. Coming up, the first match of the evening. It's quite a whopper. Title match. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Yeah, this is so it's interesting. So this title match coming up, Tom Tyler, who was really Thandar, he just changed his name. It goes against Grizzly Stevens, and they said that Tom Tyler won the title from Kid Kelsey. That never happened. Kelsey just didn't show up. He didn't. He was a champion. Didn't want to take part in this, and so he just kind of no-showed and kept the belt. And so they had to make like an executive decision. Kelsey wasn't on board with all of this. He didn't like the merger with the bigger guys. He didn't really want to go forward with this. That's what was going on. He just didn't want to. So Grizzly Stevens is getting in line for a title shot then against Tom Tyler, who we claim lost the belt to Kelsey. That really never happened, though. Grizzly Stevens, nice guy, super nice guy, I'm telling you. Like off camera, really nice. And Grizzly was, even though he was an adult, like he treated us all the same, whether we were a kid or not. He was one of those guys that didn't, try to get rid. Like he wasn't a Luscious Larry, is what I'm trying to say, trying to just blow us off and get rid of us, like Larry did. Jason always wanted to look the part, suit and tie and everything for when he's announcing. So there's Thandar. I call him Thandar. Tom Tyler is what he goes by in this point in time. And that's the belt. They had to come up with a belt because Kelsey kept it. Commentating with Jason is Mr. Macho.
Tom Tyler, he's Grizzly Stevens, and he knows
It's pretty interesting.
pound of his body is cut to precision at whatever he does.
Ah, there's Dave. Let's get him in here.
Wrestling, whether it be cutting
There we go. I'll just replace in all scenes. That should take care of it. There you are.
Alrighty, sorry about everything, everybody.
Yeah, there's some issue there going on when you're a collaborator and try to go back to a speaker. We have problems. I'm going to have to just keep changing you and Keaton out, I think.
Well, I mean, whatever we got to do to keep the show going. Otherwise, you're going to have to
right.
solo.
No, but we can do that. We can change. You just have to keep accepting it each week, you know what I mean? Not a big deal. Yeah, so Dave back in with us. Dave was working all that time trying to get on, guys, just so you know.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to blow you guys off. I may be a jerk, but not that kind of jerk.
We did mention, Dave, the exciting news of the NWF's anniversary of the title belt and possible things that might be coming down on the horizon, but we really can't talk about it quite yet.
Yeah, not quite yet, but I mean,
you can imagine what that does to the rest of
some of the stuff I'm hearing is quasi exciting.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be very, very interesting. Looking forward to it, actually. But like I said, we just got to keep a dark horse for now.
You know, pulling back the curtain a little bit, back when we were the NWF, the NWF's world was very small, as we talked about earlier today.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if that world title was actually a world title defended all over.
Yeah. A true world title.
Maybe get a real champion that's willing to defend it on foreign soil. Outside of his home comfort area.
Are you referring? I think Dave's referring to the whole Crusher versus Canary, and that I don't know if you heard, but Canary tried challenging me to 10 push-ups. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he says if you want a match with Canary, you got to do 10 push-ups. He goes, "There's room, do them." And I blew it off. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then,
well, we wouldn't want you to strain your arms too much and get a hernia.
Well, then I start getting messages from a few people that seen the show and said, "I guess you can't do push-ups anymore." So I took a little I took that to heart a little bit, and I said, you want your push-ups? I'll give you your damn push-ups, and I did a special little video. I didn't just do 10, I did 12. Don't ever question Crusher Cross. And do you think I can't do push-ups anymore? No,
okay,
no.
Question a 5-time loser.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 55 here soon, but I can still do push-ups.
You know, I'm sure they were girly push-ups.
Dave, trying to be the heel as usual.
I'm trying. I am the heel.
Yeah, I did that. I didn't put it on the YouTube channel, but I put it on the put it on the NWF Forward Facebook page. I figured I'd put it on the I'd have it as a teaser on next week's show with Ricky.
Okay.
You know, the teaser at the intro.
Thank
Probably
you,
put it.
Gizmo, for letting me know that I was missed. You know, I mean, I got to come back and, you know, liven this show up a little bit. I mean, you know, I've spent the last month without a headache, and suddenly I'm getting a migraine again.
Listen to these guys giving me shit even on 12 push-ups. Wayne McCarty says, or King Coop says, 12 push-ups, prove the haters wrong. And then Wayne chimes in, that's like King Kong Bundy and the 5 count. Crusher went 2 over. And
he was probably huffing and puffing the whole time.
King Coop was going to say the same. Yeah, I just had to prove I can do 10. And then I was in such, you know, when your adrenaline gets going and, you know, I didn't know if I could do them or not. I didn't know if how that was going to go. But I did it, and then I figured I could do a couple more. And so I did. But it's, I tell you something, we're not spring chickens anymore. When I was a kid, I could do 20 of them, like no sweat. You know, when I was 16, but when you get older, it's not as easy. I suppose if I'm like King Coop and went to the gym a lot and stuff, it'd be different. But that's the other thing. I got to get back into shape. I'm going to the gym now, trying to get in shape. And that Ricky goes, you're just trying to get in shape for the fight with Canary. No, it's not for the fight with Canary. Do you think I got to go to the gym for that? No, I'm just, for me, I want to get in better shape. And when you go to the gym, it's for you, and that's for nobody else but you.
You know, this is directed strictly at the Canary Kid. You know, Ricky, I mean, you got to quit trying to goat Crusher to get back in the ring. I mean, we don't want him to have a heart attack. I mean, yes, the man causes me headaches all the time, but I don't wish him to have a heart attack and die.
I'll tell you something. That kid has been a thorn in my side over on Forward, I'll tell you that. He likes to push my buttons, Canary Kid.
Well, they're not hard to push.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at King Coop's comments. He says he doesn't go to the gym. He just uses his home gym. But it's the same effect, you know. It's you can tell that just by your picture there that you definitely spend time staying in shape.
Uh-oh, we got the ice dragon out.
Yep. Very interesting. In Jamie's footage he found, it showed the ice dragon against Mr. Destroyer in that ring he built.
He is Ricky Vaughn. Ricky Vaughn making his way to the ring.
So Sports Video says, if you are watching, Canary Kid, I got your back. So now, what, are you trying to decide? Am I becoming the heel here? What the heck's going on? You know, somebody needs to shut up, Canary Kid. And I'm more than willing to do that. But, you know, he needs to be taught a lesson, in my opinion.
Well,
I'm of the opinion he needs to be taught a lesson.
Okay, here we got Crusher wanting people to be his buddy. I mean, in the ring we got somebody that'll be Crusher's buddy. I mean, Ricky Vaughn, you know, he's a Crusher Crossen worshiper.
You're right, Sports Video. He was bragging about me not doing push-ups on the show, but I did do the push-ups, is the thing. So, and I posted that video. I'll show you guys that on next Forward show next week. I'll put that as the teaser before the intro. So, I answered this challenge. Look, don't the rule here, Dave. Don't challenge Crusher Crossen unless you are going to be prepared for the consequences.
Oh, I mean,
It was a good match. Ice Dragon and Ricky Vaughn, or Irish Terror, Jamie.
yep.
You know,
Hall of Famer.
they both were excellent in the ring. You know, both these guys. Chris's character, the Ice Dragon, awesome. One of the best heels we had for a while there. Yeah, I seen that too, Coop. He did that clothesline off the second rope. And Jamie took it like a champ. You see Mr. Macho, he's about to get involved to settle these guys down. Yeah, we had to speed that. They made him speed that match up because it that's why they did the double count out. This is back when we still had the plastic tarp. You know, we eventually got a canvas.
Yeah.
King Coop says that that match reminded him of one of those old school NWA or AWA matches from around the time that brawl on the outside and all. Yeah, everything kind of like getting getting out of hand type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, guys, did you guys all watch the McMahon documentary? I just got to say, I watched it. That was a good documentary on Netflix. If you have Netflix, I'd highly recommend it. Good stuff. I'm not a Vince fan, but I like that documentary. I thought it was good.
He is none other than the outlaw Dion Dallas.
Jason always pronounced it Dion. Dion. He said it kind of like. Yeah, Coop. It's really good. It's they get into a lot of things that I didn't even realize. I think you'd be kind of surprised at some of the stuff they talk about, like stuff I never knew happened. It's very interesting. So Pretty Boy Taylor and Outlaw Dion Dallas. This is the first blood match. Remember we watched the other show, the other Dri-Dock show a while back, and they had that first blood match? So this is the match.
Come on. Where is Pretty Boy Taylor?
You know, Dion was a wiry, skinny kid. But he was good. His character was good. Of course, Steve, Pretty Boy Taylor, you know. We all have our issues with Steve at some point in time, but nobody better at bumping in the ring. We all agree there.
You know, good worker.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, he had his issues.
Yeah. His like attitude and style was the DD Crooks of the NWF. He was like a, DD Crooks is in the NIPW and Rookies League, Canary Kid. A lot of similarities with their characters, I think, as far as their attitude. You know, Steve's character attitude, I should say.
As you can see here in the corner by our commentating table.
You see the monitor there is one of the rare shots. How you can see how the commentators did it. They had the monitor coming from the mobile van outside, so they could see everything, see the action. We always wanted them to commentate based on what they're seeing. I mean, obviously they could look in the ring, right, Dave?
Yeah.
But you want to commentate on what the camera got, so that the people understand, right? Yeah. So Sky Sports Video News has a oh wait, before I get to that, Wayne, I don't want to pass it up. It was an interesting doc series. Not much new stuff for longtime wrestling fans. Maybe not, but for me, there was some of that stuff I didn't ever hear about. The wrestling, the ring boys and all that stuff, and the weird shit that went on there. I didn't know about that.
Oh, you hadn't heard about all that?
No, I didn't hear any of that. I was like, wow, really? It's like, but maybe that's old news, but I just was new to me.
Yeah.
Sky Sports Video.
Crusher Crossen always behind the times.
Sky Sports Video News says, Crusher, who was the NWF's most popular tag team? Who brought in the most people then and now? Most views on YouTube. Well, let's get to the first question. Who was the NWF's most popular tag team? That's easy. Well, there's two, but there's one that's the most popular, and that's the Super D's.
Well, no, that was okay. Come on, think about it. The
I know where
only
you're
show
going.
that ever sold out in NWF Armory history, where we were turning fans away, was the first time ever that Dixie Dave and Rattlesnake Jake teamed up.
Yeah.
That's undeniable right there.
Judging by the pop, the Super D's were the most popular of any of us, really. And it was because they had the look. Two young little twins. They had the crowd over right when they went out the door. And they were good. They were damn good for two 10-year-olds. I mean,
Yeah.
double drop kicks and shit. Come on, guys. That's pretty impressive at their age. And then, who brought in the most people then and now? Most views on YouTube? Gosh, I mean, I don't know if anybody's responsible for bringing the crowd other than us as a whole. The NWF attraction itself was what it was.
Well, you know, I mean, everybody's always saying they miss me. So,
I mean, you know, Dixie. I will say this: when Dixie Dave came on the show, the crowds started to win. Well, as soon as he came on the show, the next Armory card was a dud. Oh, there's that. And then when he came back, we had a sellout. So it's like, I don't know how we judge that. I don't know.
I brought the people back in. Plain and simple.
But I think, no, seriously, that to be
Dixie
serious.
Dave wasn't there, and the crowds were minimal.
But seriously,
We're turning people away.
but seriously though, honestly, I think it was the entire attraction of kids wrestling. That's what it was drawing the crowds. Because you couldn't see it anywhere else.
I'll
What's
let you
that?
go with me.
I mean, I think that's what for that time and everything, and the popularity of our show on cable, which it was hugely popular. So, you know. And then the other question here: who brought in the most people then and now and most views on YouTube? Well, as much as I hate to admit it, on NWF Forward, the episode that is the highest rated episode that has the most views of all of our Forward shows was the very first one with the Canary Kid. So I think it's over 1,000 views now. So that one's got the most views. Who brought in the most views on YouTube? If you look at the video that has the most views, I believe it's the Crusher Crossen special look video. It's over 125,000 views, I think.
Yes, he is a cunning promoter.
So take that, Dixie Dave.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, you promote your own stuff.
Sports Talk 117 says Super D's put on a great performance. They did. They really did, and they were likable. They had the likable look. Two blonde-haired twins.
Yep.
You know, they had the look for sure.
You know, I'll give the devil its due. The kids had the look.
And King Coop says, Dixie Dave, what was the best match you felt like you ever had or was part of?
Well, obviously, one of my favorite matches is Rattlesnake Jake and I teaming up. But oddly enough, one that I really enjoyed was me and Thandar.
Yeah, I know you like that one. It was a good match, too.
You know, yeah, I got squashed.
But you took everything. You took it well. And Thandar was never a picnic for anybody. Like, he was rough with you, no matter who it was.
I just noticed something. Pretty Boy Taylor.
But, you know, that's
DDT.
You know, that's one thing about Thandar and I. You know, once again, pulling back the curtain a little bit. You know, Thandar, out of anybody in the NWF, is the person I had known the longest. So even when he was being rough with me, I still trust him.
Yeah.
No fair, disqualify him. Ring the bell.
Let's see. I was gonna show. This comment here. Damian Thorne says, "Was Crusher Crossen the Hulk of the NWF as far as marketing?" You know, I'm not even trying to toot my own horn, but you know, I think I was a big part of the push. You know, when you think of like the newspaper articles and stuff, they always were focusing on me. You know, in the
Well, you know,
paper.
when you're the promoter, you know, you always push yourself because you're the person who promotes.
Well, I mean, however you want to say it, but yeah, I definitely was the poster child of the league. There's no doubt about that. But I won't take the credit for being the most popular, only because I'm not gonna. The Barbarians were popular as well as a tag team, but the Super D's, yeah, they were, and the Super D's take the cake from any of us. Just listen to the crowd reaction. You know, I think what it was with me, you know, but out of all, like, for instance, when we did our first Armory card, I was the only one that had the crowd of kids wanting an autograph. But that's because, the only reason I bring that up is because that's because I was the front runner on the show, you know, as far as I was on every show from day one. I was always in the center of attention, I guess, because I was putting myself there. And everybody watched it for the 2 years up to that first Armory. So it's not, I'm not trying to say that I was the most popular, but I definitely had the most attraction with all those kids, really the kids.
Yeah.
Because it was kids coming up to me, little kids, right? This is see, we had really weird finishes here. Like, so now he's gonna, it's Steve, this is a penny roll. This should have been the other way around, Dave. It should have been Pretty Boy Taylor doing that as a heel. You know?
Well, you know.
You watch this stuff when you're an adult and you say, like, what the hell were we thinking? But Steve, he bumped like... You've seen the bumps he did in this match. He was good. That weird hair spot on his back, though, which was a birthmark. Steve was good. He was... no doubt about it. Like I said, he did some shady things with taking people's money and stuff, you know, for wrestling suits, and there's all sorts of things like that. And, of course, boots, wrestling boots. I mean... But... But Steve could sell. Boy, can he sell. See, Ernie's kid there at ringside. He's in the wrestling business today. I believe the kid.
Sam.
Yep, Sam. Yeah. One of those two kids there. I can't remember which one is Sam, but between the two of them.
Okay, which belt is Dion holding?
I don't know where that belt came from. You know, they were bringing in belts after Ernie took it over. There were belts coming in from who knows where. So, yeah, Steve had to do an interview since he juiced for this. That's Ernie's kids.
Yeah, Sam is wrestling. Last time I saw him, he was back and forth between Patriot Mark IV and Master Russian character.
Well, I know Wayne. I think Wayne's been to shows in Minnesota and seen him and stuff. Like, maybe he even has pictures. For all I know.
I saw him out in South Dakota.
Oh, in South Dakota.
Yep.
King Coop says Steve was really selling. Yeah, he sure was. He was good. I can't take that away from him. And he could do a promo. He could do one hell of a promo. He was a talker.
Yeah, Mad Russian.
Yeah, Mad Russian was the name of Ernie's kid. So, yeah, Ernie stayed in the business. He kept promoting, and then he got his kid to do it. And, you know, I think he's still doing it to this day. Yes, I've taken his photo at both of those his gimmicks. Yeah, that's pretty cool. One of these days, Wayne, we should show those pictures just to kind of say that was the little kid there at ringside. You can see the crowd really getting on Taylor, and that's what you need. You need a heel like that really can get under the crowd's skin, because that's what makes it fun for the crowd. They want to have that guy they love to hate, and Steve was that person.
You know, I'm gonna give Pretty Boy more credit than he deserves, but to be honest, Pretty Boy was our Roddy Piper.
Yeah, he was definitely influenced by Piper. His influences were Stan Hansen, Bobby Heenan, and Roddy Piper, and a little Jimmy Garvin.
From the streets of Chicago, Illinois, led by their manager.
Jason always pronounced it Illinois. It's supposed to be the silent S, you know. Yeah, we and Dave were just talking about that today. King Coop's comment here. The crowd was booing Steve like the people booed Hogan on the last episode of Monday Night Raw. But you know what? They might have booed Hogan, but he still did his job because everybody watched it and is talking about it. And that's what matters, really.
Well, in one of the groups I'm a part of,
I think he wasn't booed. People say he was booed for the political stuff. I think it was more his history of some of the dumb things he said over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I saw a post of on Facebook was basically representing that Hulkamania has died.
We lost him.
It's the Hulkamania 1984 through 2025.
We're back. We had some audio
Yeah.
difficulties there. If you please bear with us.
The Destructors, John Hoffman and Ryan Rude. Ryan Rude does a podcast right now on YouTube at the same time we do ours. And it's totally different. It's like you wouldn't even recognize him. That big muscular Destructor in there. He doesn't even look the same, and he's kind of a comedy show, and it's an interesting podcast, but yeah, he's a YouTube celebrity as well. Just in a different kind of podcast.
I think it's in Army Fatigue.
Yeah, like King Coop said, it wasn't because of the politics. Undertaker got cheered, and others got cheered. It was because of Hogan's personal views. Exactly, that's what I meant. The Hogan has put his foot in his mouth in the past, and he's still paying for it, really.
Oh, yeah.
And there, like, I'm a big Hogan fan only for the early Hogan, the AWA Hogan. That's my influence. When he left ship and went to the WWF, I really started losing. It kind of broke my heart in the wrestling business when he did that. When he left the AWA, so to speak. So Wayne's got a good question here. He says, what was the locker room like at the Dri-Dock? I know Roper's had the whole basement, right? So I don't know, Wayne, have you been down in the basement at there? You call it Roper's. I always refer to it as George's and Fridley, but same place. Yeah, so you know what that basement atmosphere is like. Other bars, the wrestlers get a small closet for locker room. Well, the Dri-Dock was kind of like that small closet, but a little bit bigger. It was like the kitchen area where the kitchen area basically a little bit bigger than a broom closet, but tight quarters for sure. And that's where we were.
It'll take the wind out of you. Most definitely.
George's and Fridley was great. The Ropers, it was great because they had that whole basement area, a lot of space. Yeah, it was a really good setup.
And the atmosphere down there always seemed really good.
Yeah, it was. Nice pile driver. Nice pile driver, and that's the kind they don't like to see anymore these days. Due to the injuries that have taken place from that pile driver, and that's the one Dave took from Thandar just last week.
Yep.
Most mercilessly, Tom Tyler coming in.
I don't know why Macho wanted to do color, but Macho wanted to do color commentating for this whole these two tapings we did this day. That's why he's there with Jason at the table. Not sure why he stepped away from wrestling at this point. I think he just wanted to try commentating for a while is all. Because he went back to the ring after a few more shows.
Oh, he hit that
Notice how the ring. Did you see the ring bounce there? We had our ring was the best, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
That was a
I
good ring.
love being in that ring.
Yeah.
This is a title match.
I still remember the feeling. It's been what, 40 years?
I love that ring a lot better than I like that Fred Moore ring.
Well, yeah, and George's and Fridley too. I gotta say, it wasn't no picnic. That PWA ring was no picnic.
Well, why do you think Eddie wanted our ring?
I know, and then he ruined it when he got it. Tried making it 16-footer. He tried cutting it down, and it was not designed to be a 16-foot ring. So it didn't work the same.
Definitely know the tactics to survive by double teaming.
And whoever cut it down didn't do it right, and the dang thing started falling apart on Eddie during the show. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah. Started, they didn't do it right, size it right or whatever, and then things started coming apart on them. Welds and shit. It's like, it's kind of like this, Dave. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, ours was a 20 by 20.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 20 by 20, and I'm sure Eddie did it because he knows the venues he was going to was smaller and wanted to make the ring fit, get more people in,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
kind of
that
thing.
that's an extra couple seats.
Yeah.
A leg drop.
As I remember at the Dri-Dock, we had to push it all the way up against one wall, and
Yeah.
we only had 3 sides to seat people on.
Yeah.
Here comes Tyler. And they hit Tyler coming in. Come on, Tom, get out of there. Definitely not his first offense, and promising not to be his last.
The commentators are so important for putting the wrestlers over. These guys were good. Jason, Macho. I mean, you got really good people. We were fortunate, Dave, to have good people as our commentators.
Yeah.
That would really sell us. Yeah, most of them. Even as little kids, Brian Balaban was just as good as anybody I've heard commentating.
Yeah.
Rob Jacob in the very beginning, excellent at putting you over. Yeah, we were fortunate for that.
Clothesline lifted. He's up. 1 count, 2 count. That's it. 3 count.
they were good.
Please stand by.
But Jason, as good as he is, he needs somebody with him. When it's Jason by himself, he can get kind of like, it's like listening to Mean Gene Okerlund call a match, which it's kind of painful. Jason needs somebody with him. What's that?
Kind of like you doing a show by yourself.
Yeah, it's like anybody doing a show by themselves.
Well, some people can carry a show on their own.
And then some people just need help getting carried to the ring. That scrolling text is going way too fast.
Yeah.
And I don't know where these tag belts came from that they're got. I don't know if they made them. Those aren't our belts. It's interesting, huh?
Maybe they were the Illinois tag team title.
Well, speaking of wrestling by yourself, did you see that video of the people that had those, they're kind of like crash dummy things, and they're doing all sorts of moves with them in the ring, and it looks like they're actually wrestling them?
Oh, Kenny Omega doing stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. So yeah, that's when me and Dredd were the tag team. Some booing us, some cheering us, because Dredd was a heel.
A mystery man or the mystery man?
That's Mystery Man. And why he's with us, I don't know. There was a time when we were kind of teaming, because I think we bailed out the Destructors on last week's show, so Mystery Man came to the ring with us. So yeah, we're going against the Russians. Oh boy, guys, this is where you take a coffee break. It was this Russian tag team. I mean, no offense to Ernie, Dirty Ernie, he was one of them, but his partner, Payet, whatever, his name was Payet, last name, he shouldn't even been in this business. He shouldn't have been in this at all. He did not sell for you at all.
And he was less fundamentally sound than I was.
He was the worst. The worst. We had little kids that were better than him many, many times. No, he really was. He was like a... Jason always referred to him as a tomato.
Here they come with that chain again.
He just won't sell. Watch him when he's in the ring. He will not sell for you. That's the problem. And you can't be like that.
The one that we're talking about is the one carrying the chain,
Yeah.
wearing the red t-shirt underneath the singlet.
Ernie, Dirty Ernie's the other Russian here. Ernie was much better, but even Ernie to this day would tell you that he would do this differently, and I know he would. He wouldn't be the way he wouldn't, because even Ernie was a little stiff on selling with us, but not like this Payet guy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, he hit Dread with the chain. Dread,
But
making him too practically.
I never really had a problem with Dirty Ernie though. Dirty, certainly easy to work with in the ring.
We'll find out. And there that bell is rung. Nice close up on Dr. Dread that we had.
Yeah, that's what Jason called him, a tomato, Wayne. He actually referred to him as a tomato. Jason Crossen did.
A big Russian and Russian number one.
And like Wayne had said in his comment, Joey Styles from ECW can do a full show by himself.
And the Russian side.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't. It's just some people aren't good at it, and Jason would just get too robotic.
Coming to back his partner up the referee. Wait a minute.
Like you have to be able to bounce stuff off with Jason.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is what does Ernie put like paint on his arms? He has like that little arm face paint he's using on his arms. He painted his arms with like a little line. I don't know what that's supposed to represent. I don't know if you noticed that, Dave.
I haven't.
When you see him, look at his arm. See that black paint? He's got it on each arm. See that?
Yeah, I see it on that one side.
And it's on the other side as well. It's really strange. If anybody knows what they think he's trying to do with that, let us know. I'm curious.
And that tells you how low the ceiling was at the Dri-Dock. Crusher Crossen couldn't even stand up on the top rope.
So the tomato tagged out. So now you got Ernie. Ernie was better, but still not. There was no picnic with these guys. It just, here's the thing. When you're a Russian tag team, people want to see them get their ass kicked, and they never allowed that.
Right. Well, I mean, look at Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik. They sold.
Yeah.
What they do, I give them half strength.
You can't just be, I'm invincible, we hug, we, do this big invincible walk. You got to do more than that.
A double arm bar.
Showing your strength or whatever.
Each muscle flowing like
I mean,
the river of Gorky.
What else can you do with these guys?
Spinning him around. I do believe that was used by the Crossen. Corporal pulling the small of his back. Wait a minute. Body slam. Oh, what a
Yeah, sports video, I agree in that when you wrestled this Russian tag team, it was just going to be a lackluster match because of the way they didn't sell for you. They made it very difficult.
Well, they might not be
So,
the smartest beings. They're not no Einsteins, but smashing the big. Actually, the little Russian. They're both big.
all right, King Coop.
Oh, that was a Three Stooges tactic.
Three Stooges.
And another hit to the mat.
I know you guys are going to be excited to know that on our next Rewind show, we're going back to the beginning, Group W Cable Studios.
Yep.
You pay.
The preview we seen today at the beginning of the show is the show we'll be watching on our next Rewind.
And that'll be in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yep.
This is the first time I've seen the Russians down on
Yeah, this Russian tag team. I'm hoping that they were short-lived.
I know, I don't know, because they were still a team when I left, but,
Russian has to make the tag.
you know, when I kind of left the NWF at this point, but I don't know if they were or not. And then this guy was the worst, man, I'm telling you this. I wish I could remember. Steve Payet, that was his name.
This Russian. Wait a minute, can he do it?
See, he won't sell for anybody. Like this Payet guy, they want to see him get thrown against the ropes and back body drop like they do to Blackwell, you know, and that crowd would go nuts.
There's no timeout for professional wrestling.
But the problem is, Payet, I don't think could do it. I don't think he was capable of bumping like that. I notice he's got the wrestling boots on. Those look like Jamie's boots, maybe.
This match is pretty even.
I don't know.
So far.
Maybe not.
Headlock.
You know, a lot of people used their wrestling boots when we weren't in the ring. Just to make the whole quality of the show look better.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah, this is. Remember when we had Dr. Dread on last week and we got to the Russian match? It's like even Jeff was like, "This is gross. I've had enough. I can't watch this." You know.
Is making fun. He's making obscene gestures towards the crotch areas.
Well, like, you know,
Dread, he took the
Gizmo's got a comment coming in here. After seeing all these older wrestling matches, it will be fun now to go back and see how they started out. You mean like as far as the kids that are older that were younger back in the time, yeah. Yeah.
Is he just like this? What? He resembles
That's for sure.
Santa Claus. Yes, but Santa Claus.
You know, I don't know why Ernie did this whole Russian tag team thing. I think his Dirty Ernie gimmick was much better.
Yeah.
He was kind of taking a break from that for some reason. You know, Jeff doing.
Dirty Ernie was over.
Yeah, he was. And he and Pretty Boy Taylor had a really good feud going too. So I don't know why he didn't continue with that. The hamstring pull. Me and Ricky got in a discussion with that. Ricky didn't know what it was. Hamstring pull is something they just don't do anymore, do they, Dave?
Nope.
Yeah. Wayne, do you remember seeing the hamstring pull in recent years? I'm just curious. Like, when did it phase out?
So bad he didn't even bother screaming in Russian. I'm amazed. Crossen and Dri-Dock. These Russians are hurting. 1, 2 counts.
I mean, pretty much since Flair
Crossen and Dri-Dock found a weak spot.
hasn't wrestled a whole lot. It phased out because Flair used to use.
Well, it was an AWA deal. I think Gagne trained everybody on it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Ernie would sell somewhat, but then I drop kick Payet and he just stands there like a big fat tomato. So that's just it. He doesn't sell. God, just makes me angry watching it.
Picks him up by the head. Suplex.
That ring was sweet though to take these bumps in. If the fat man would just take a bump in there, he'd realize he'd feel pretty good doing it. But one of my cardinal rules: don't stand in the middle of the ring and block the camera view. And that's what That's what Ernie's doing.
Luckily, we had the camera off at an angle.
On this particular shot, yeah. You know, and the thing is, Dave, we could make these guys look like I could make this tomato look like a fool. I could have had him do that, and I could have just said, salute him and just keep right on going. I didn't have to do any of this for him. You know? It's like, but I'm above that. I'm not going to do that in a match. You know that.
gets the ropes in a precarious position.
Watch the other Russian.
Oh!
That's gonna snap
That hurts a
his
Crossen.
back neck. The back of his neck is cracked. I could hear it. A knee lift.
You know, I think
Stunning Crossen.
I end up blading in this match now that I
Big
think of
Russian
it.
looking for a
Is
tag.
this the one that you got taken to the?
No, it's
Oh.
not. No, I didn't do it bad. I did it right on this one. It was the next show that happened,
Or a forearm.
where I went too deep. But yeah, I did it. I think I did it on this one too. I'm almost sure of it.
Okay.
Oh, Crossen throwing out. Wait a minute. Hold on, he called that.
Disqualification by the Russians.
Over the rope, that's a rule.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Hold on,
Uh-oh.
wait.
They're using
They're
chairs.
using chairs. Wait a minute. Get it out of the crowd, boys.
I love it. This is fun. This
Or maybe
is
I didn't
fun.
blade.
love
I
it.
thought I did though.
I like it a lot.
For some reason, I thought I remember doing it.
Crossen fending off the big Russian once, but twice.
Hey, he actually fell down. How about that?
Please.
You sold something.
At least Ernie took a nice
Can we have more?
getting thrown out of the ring there. That was pretty good.
Ladies and gentlemen, declared by your ref, the winner, they are
Yeah, that's just it, Damien.
Crossen.
Oh.
Nah, I don't blade in this one. I thought I did.
Ruling of disqualification, the victory goes
Um,
to Dr. Dre-Dock, Crusher Crossen.
But yeah, Damien, that wasn't my best match. But they didn't give me much to work with. Yeah, they didn't give me anything to work with, really.
Have a brief interview.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. Could have been better. Could have been better. We could have just not even had that Russian tag team.
And you can see the disappointment on your face.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 5 more minutes with these guys. I'm gonna pin them one way or the other. Oh, they're big, I know. There's ways around everything. Next Saturday, this next guy, we're gonna get the job done right. And after that, it's the World Tag Team Championship for me and this guy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there from Crusher Crossen.
Yeah, and we did get those belts
You please stay
from the
tuned.
Destructors.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned.
I think we have maybe one more match left on this one.
NWF action, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our main event this evening. As of last week, you heard.
Yeah, I wonder why Jeff Sayers messed up.
It's a good point.
But first of all, the challenger, coming to you all the way from, I believe, the East Coast, New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hitman Hernandez.
I think this is Hitman and Luscious Larry.
Just after a tough match, Rick Pitts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I
Or is it
told you,
Grizzly?
heavyweight champion of the world from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
No, it's Grizzly.
And for Grizzly Stevens. Grizzly Stevens. Let me go to ringside.
Steve Johnson was his name, Grizzly Stevens. Good, nice, good guy.
More NWF action here at the Dri-Dock, our main event this week. And I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, I'm on the booth. I'm
World
commentating.
Heavyweight Championship bout going on. Grizzly Stevens, newly crowned champion earlier today, as a matter of fact, and he's got his first title defense here at the Dri-Dock.
All right.
And we are all set here.
What a card we've had.
Grizzly looking in excellent shape, Jeff.
He really does. Grizzly is in great shape. I don't know. I'm
Rick
really
Pitts,
impressed with him.
referee.
He is the champion now, and it's been coming a long time. All right.
I miss Rick.
Here we go on with action.
Good guy.
I'm looking forward to this one. You know, Hitman's been shooting his mouth off for a long time.
He has, and he's
He
got
died
the
way
action
too
that
young,
he's
Dave.
know what he's doing here. Grizzly's known
Well,
for
you know,
that.
his drinking, I'm sure, got to him.
Yeah.
Dri-Dock on January the 12th. Tuesday night, January 12th, the next card at the Dri-Dock. And you and your
Yeah, Terry Kosnapple said there were times when he had to help him to his apartment.
We're talking about a Russian chain match.
I forgot to introduce
Oh,
him.
from the
No, I
courtyard.
believe it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. A
Russian chain match.
We're working on it. I'm trying to get it. You've been in a strap match. You've been in every other kind of match, but this is going to be a
This
Russian
is one I
chain
haven't
match.
been in, Jeff. I'm looking forward to it.
You know, what do you do against guys like that? I mean,
Oh man, that strap match,
Basically, you
Dave.
just gotta know what to do. You gotta know how to get
You were there for that one. You remember
Oh,
hearing
yeah.
us? Do you remember hearing us whipping each other with him? Remember
what I'm
hearing
Oh,
it?
yeah.
impressed with
Yeah.
is, Dr. You know, they were hitting each other.
Like I've said before, I just can't understand why you guys went with the narrow.
That was as smart, as brilliant as Steve was at taking bumps and everything. He wasn't the brightest bulb when it came to coming up with the concept of a strap.
But in the ring right now, the heavyweight champion.
You know, I'm sure his theory was it won't hurt as much being
Smaller.
small.
Just the opposite.
Yep.
Think about, okay, it was skinny little leather straps. So imagine taking an extension cord. You know how people would whip when you're a kid, maybe your brothers and sisters, you'd hit each other, you'd whip each other's extension cords. Like, that hurts. That's what it felt like. Or those weeping willow branches.
Which he did.
Yeah.
So he had to come here to defend the title, and he lost it.
Well, Mick Weller was there. Mick Weller was ringside. And he was very disgusted. Hot Stuff Kelsey didn't look.
We're just making this all up. This match never happened. Kelsey losing the title to Tom Tyler.
Small package beat him, and he claimed that Tyler's shoulders were down, and Tyler pulled his shoulders up first, and that was it. It was over.
Well, Kelsey's never been one to get around those quick maneuvers. I know so well because I was his tag team partner, and that's why I was his partner, so I could get around him.
And there it is on any given day.
Whoa!
And win. You know, that's it. That's the way it is. I want to take this time right now.
You know, I mean, Grizzly's not a small guy, but he'll bump with you.
Yeah, he'll sell. See, guys like Grizzly understood the concept of a match. Unfortunately, that Payet and that Russian tag team, and even Ernie a little bit, I gotta say, they didn't understand what they needed to do with that character, with their characters.
You know, Ernie understood about bumping.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when he got in that Russian gimmick,
we may have to cut away. We do apologize if we do have
to cut
away. And
I'm not quite sure on how much time.
Nobody wants to see a big invincible heel team that isn't ever going to get beat up. That has Russian as from Russia in that time period. So it's like, you don't. Yeah. I could go on forever, guys. Don't even get me started with that.
Hitman is not his colorful self. He's not his colorful self.
And where's his manager, sir?
I have no idea. I have no idea where Sir Winston is.
Hitman, you know, Hernandez. I know Jeff didn't think a lot of him. He thought he was good, but I think he was a little better than Jeff gives him credit for.
Yeah.
Flamboyant, good heel. Would take bumps. But Hitman would have his matches too where he would just try to bully through you. He'd do that. He'd do that as well. But he can't do that with Grizzly. He has to work with Grizzly. Grizzly won't let him have the whole match.
Exactly.
You had a tough match. Those Russians give you quite a match.
But we still won, and it goes down on a win for the record book.
1 minute remaining in the match, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute.
It's been a while since we've been here at the mic, Jeff. I believe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it has. It's kind of tough to get behind the mic and
Jason
look at this.
Whoa!
Slammed him.
I've never seen that happen. I've never seen that happen.
Whoa!
I've seen double slams, not single ones.
Jeff was so good at commentating.
He's no pushover.
That's why he got in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jeff was a BSer.
Yeah.
There goes the hip man.
Yeah, that's for sure.
30 seconds remain. 30 seconds.
So a question from Sports Talk. He says, Crusher, did you find it harder to keep control of the NWF when these older wrestlers came into the company? Well, at this point, I had sold the promotion to Ernie. So basically, whoever owned the wrestling ring owned the promotion. And I made a deal with Ernie to have him own the promotion. However, I was still in charge of the television side of it. So it was my time slot. It's my show. I had to, I was basically, it was my crew in the van, Scott Dotzler and Greg Bushman. So that was my involvement. And then I had some stipulations in the cell. We had a contract written up even. And I said, they got to keep the name NWF. You can't change the name. And you're going to keep all the juniors and kids on. We're not going to get rid of them. And Ernie stayed true to all that. But I didn't find it hard. People actually did respect me. Honestly, they didn't. There was nobody that, even like Grizzly, all these guys, they had respect for me, so I didn't have any issues. The only person I had issue with was that Payet, but that was everybody. He was like that with everybody, just that he wouldn't sell for you.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't have any issues not with these guys. Now, it's a whole different story with the Luscious Larry era. When he did his takeover at the NCWA and all that, that's a whole different discussion.
Larry was a POS, in my opinion, but...
Yeah, he wanted things done his way, and he was on the steroids, so he had that anger management issue because of it.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of things with him that was going on, but he was definitely on the steroids. We all knew it. And, steroids mess with you, man. They mess with your head. And so, yeah, you got this guy that would just blow up. You just get pissed off. And it was the roids,
Yep.
Yeah, that was the problem with Luscious Larry. We could have done a lot more with Larry if he just would have listened instead of trying to take it over.
It's like I told a young man I know that's trying to break into the business right now. When you're just coming into the business, keep your mouth shut and listen to the people that have been there before you.
Yeah. It's like we said on Forward, we had to talk about this. And the other thing with new people, when you're new and starting out in the wrestling business, a couple things. For confidence, act as if you're the champ. Act as if you are going to be the best thing there as far as your ability goes. You need confidence. But at the same time, know your role, shut your hole.
Yep. Have confidence, but not an ego.
Right. Like, when you're...
You'd think those two go hand in hand, confidence and ego.
Yep.
They're two totally different things. I mean...
Yeah, because, first of all, a booker does not want unsolicited advice. He doesn't need you to suggest or say what you want to do with your gimmick, especially if you're new. Just do what you're told. And don't get hung up on losing matches. One of the biggest problems in the indie business with new wrestlers is they get hung up in their character. And they start getting on maybe they're whoever's booking's having them lose a lot of matches. Well, there's a reason. There's a method to it, and don't get hung up on that. Just do what you're told and look, I'll give you an example. Terry Block in our show, Invader 1, he never, ever complained about that. You told him, hey, Terry, I need you to lose to Super D2. Okay, no problem. And I did that actually at Sandberg Middle School. That's why I bring it up. So it's like he would never complain about the finish. Now, Super D2 comes up to here on Terry, right?
Yeah.
Terry should win the match. But he would do what he was told, and because of that, he not only had my respect, he had everybody's respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goes a long ways.
I never got hung up on my win-loss record. I just walked in.
Yeah, you're another prime example.
What's my role today?
Right. Yeah, you never ever complained about anything like that I remember.
Jamie.
Well, Jamie did. Not that he complained, but he'd say he would be vocal. But Jamie could back it up. Jamie was so damn good in the ring. Like he was one of those guys that I would, okay, you got a point. I'll listen to you. After a while, you earn the right to talk and speak up. But when you're first starting out, you just got to shut your damn mouth and do what you're told and just learn the damn business. You know this.
Well, yeah, I've been around the business a day or two.
Yeah, this isn't nothing new to us, but
you walk into a locker room, you show everybody the respect.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I said though, guys, they do, and they get hung up on their character, and they start worrying about their gimmick and all this stuff, and there's a lot of pride there, and so Wayne, I don't know Wayne. It'd be interesting if Wayne has seen it at all. Like if he remembers seeing that stuff. And I know that was in George's and Fridley, there was a lot of egos in that locker room down there at times. A lot of what we're talking about. I don't know if Wayne ever seen it, but I know that it always exists at some level in the indie business. There's always some level of it. So, but yeah, that was a fun show. I still like the older stuff when we're kind of polished up a bit. Now, of course, when we do our show next time, Dave, we're going back to Group W Cable. The debut of Brian Peterson. Everybody liked him. So this is first. Well, I shouldn't say his first show. It's his second show, but I don't have the first show that Brian was on because that was the 25th anniversary show that got taped over. And yeah, Wayne just confirmed that he's definitely seen it, what we're talking about. And yeah, you know, that was my biggest, honestly, Wayne, when I was doing PWA, and I was really doing it for Troy Steenerson.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I was traveling a lot of miles to do those matches. I was in Wisconsin at the time. And because Troy really wanted me in there, I was doing it. But
well, he trusted you.
Yeah, because he trusted me. But I seen the egos myself. I seen it all. I could see everybody just looking out for themselves, not caring about the product as a whole. And one of the things that I've noticed with Ricky Henry and company over there at IPW, they have a much better attitude in this. Like they're all kind of working like we did in the NWF in a way, Dave. They're kind of like it's a team attitude. They're looking at it as a group effort. And God, if everybody just did that, how much better the show would be, the matches, the product, everything, you know?
Well, that's the business in general. I mean, you know, okay, first name that comes to mind as far as having an ego in the business is Hulk Hogan.
I was going to say Hogan.
You know, biggest ego in the business.
But not at first. Not in the beginning.
Well,
but definitely in the end. Definitely when he got, you know, when he went on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I'd say from that point on.
Yeah. I mean, he had an ego bigger than Texas.
Yeah.
You know, sad to say, he felt he couldn't do anything wrong.
And it got worse in the WCW.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, you know, he'd always have it booked in where he'd have creative control of his character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once he got the fame in WWE, he'd always get booked, you know, get it in his contract that he had creative control over his character. And that's the worst thing a booker can do for a wrestler is give him creative control, because then they're gonna, you know, then they want to be world champion, then they want to, you know, they want to run everything.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny because when I mentioned how everybody should watch the McMahon documentary series, excellent series. And one of the things that they talked about in there, they didn't talk about it, but somebody asked me after watching that, we were talking about the Bret Hart screw job, Montreal screw job. And somebody, a friend of mine said, a good friend of mine, we talk wrestling all the time. And he said, and
he's not talking about me, by the way.
And it's not Dave, just a friend outside of the whole, everything we do. He's just a friend. But he said, do you think, he's asking me, do you think that was not necessarily a screw job, but a work that Vince and Brett planned it to screw the WCW, that Brett was in on it? And I said, no, I don't think so. I think that was a screw job, but I think Vince planned it, premeditated it the whole time. I think Vince knew exactly what he was doing, even premeditating it.
Okay, I've seen enough footage on it, and you know, now that you're wanting to talk about the screw job, you know, at that point in time, Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Shawn Michaels were in Vince's ear.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Triple H said to Vince, if he doesn't want to do business, we make them do business.
Right.
And it was pretty much the referee, Sean, Brett, and Vince. Or Sean, Hunter, and Vince that were in on it with the referee.
Right. No, I totally agree. But what I'm saying is, I think when Vince went up to Brett and said, I think you should go to the WCW, it's a better move for you. And, he told him to take the deal. I think in Vince's mind, he knew how Brett was going to react. He knew he wouldn't give up the belt. Vince planned to do this screw job with them, like you just said, knowing that then Brett would then leave with a sour attitude, and he knew his gimmick would fail over there. It was Vince's way of making Brett ineffective over there and not having to pay him.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. I think Vince premeditated the whole damn thing is what I'm trying to say. Vince is smart enough to do that kind of stuff.
Well, from what I understand about the incident,
As bad as it was.
From what I understand about the incident, it was a respect issue between Sean and Brett. And Brett said, I'll drop the title to anybody else that you want. Just not Sean.
Right.
And the card was already billed. He knew Sean was going to be there, so he just said, screw it, we're going to do a screw job.
Yeah. And they already did it with Wendy Richter. So
yeah.
Vince knows how to screw people over. So, yeah, interesting stuff. So for those of you wondering, remember how when I had Ricky Henry on and Canary Kidney was talking about how I would be proud of his drop kick. He's really worked on it. He's working hard to keep his feet together and everything. He's trying to be like the Fiver, I gotta say.
Yeah, the 5-time loser. I mean, it's not something to aspire to be,
And
Ricky.
I gotta say, I watched his last match and I seen his drop kick, and I gotta say, he's looking good. It's looking like me. He looks like me. What can I say? He's looking good.
You say he looks like you, but he's probably like you, only better.
Dave, I'm thinking that maybe I do need to come out of retirement, and I will come up to Minnesota. And I don't think you want to deal with Crusher Crossen in that trailer, in that development there, in your trailer. You think the pipes went out? More than that's going to go out.
Yeah, your back will go out. Your hips are going to go out. And your lights might go out.
I just did 12 push-ups. What are you talking about here? So,
chirp, chirp, chirp.
Let's see. Wayne's got a comment on that discussion we just had. He says, and the screw job led to Mr. McMahon, which started the Austin McMahon feud that beat WCW. Exactly. That I'm telling you, so this is my take on Vince McMahon. I never liked him as a person. Dave knows this because I didn't like the talent raids. I didn't like how he ruined the territories.
Right.
So I was never a fan of Vince, and I didn't like the product. I didn't like the clowning around and not taking it serious. Weddings and shit, all that stuff, that goofy stuff they did. I wasn't a big fan of that. So never really liked Vince, ever. But when he became Mr. McMahon in that character, I thought it was the best heel I've seen in ages. He was great. And it made the Attitude Era. That's for damn sure. So I thought it was good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, as much as you dislike Vince, it's like our conversation we had earlier today. When we were going over the show this morning. Vince has done a lot of good for the business.
No, he has. I'm not going to say he hasn't.
I mean, he's expanded it to a global empire. But due to his extracurricular activities, we'll say, he's done a lot of damage to the business.
And quite frankly, he couldn't have done it without Hogan in the beginning.
Right.
I don't think Dusty Rhodes would have been the answer. I know I've heard all these other names that could have been in there instead of Hogan, but look, Vince got Hogan because he knew he needed Hogan. he's seen the electricity that was started here. And when I say here,
Yep.
AWA. And he wanted to capitalize on it.
Technically, the electricity that was started here in Minnesota.
Well, they did travel to Salt Lake City too.
On occasion, yeah.
Back in those days, they were. Yeah, they were hitting Denver, Salt Lake, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Phoenix.
But I mean,
doing the 4 states.
You know, in all honesty, the electricity started here in Minnesota. Yeah. Minnesota was the AWA's home. It was their comfort zone.
Yeah. No, I know. I agree. That was the home base, Minneapolis. So let's talk quickly, Dave, about what's coming up. So first and foremost, next time I'm going to be on here is going to be this coming Sunday with Keaton. And he's got Marty Jones as his guest. Now, Dave, I don't know if you're familiar with Marty Jones, but if I'm right, he trained Steven Regal, among others.
Okay.
He's like the Eddie Sharkey of Europe, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like a real legend. And I'm really looking forward to... I've never met him. Ricky's talked highly of him. He's trains guys. He used to wrestle. He's wrestled Andre the Giant. I mean, he's wrestled lots of guys. He books shows as well. I know he booked Ricky in Europe a couple times. So, yeah, it's like I'm really looking forward to this one. This should be a great interview, and I think that's going to be a fascinating discussion. And that's going to be Sunday at with Keaton. So should be a good one. That's what we got coming up there. Our next Forward show, which is going to be a week from tomorrow, the Canary Kid and myself are going to have Daryl Becker with Primos Premier Pro Wrestling with the youth training program update. We're going to find out what they're up to now with the kids training over there. They have the junior training, so we're going to see where they're at, see how things are going. I don't know. I'm going to find out during this interview, but it should be fascinating. Now, this show is going to start a little later. It's going to be an hour later than our usual start time. With Ricky and I usually start earlier in the day, but this will be even an hour later, I should say. We're going to start, and that's for Daryl Becker because he has a 9-to-5 job, and for him to get on the show, we need to start a little bit later. And it's a Friday night, so Ricky doesn't have school the next day, so he can stay up a bit later.
Right.
So.
And thank God Ricky will be there to spice up the show a little bit.
Well, Crusher Crossen will be there to put him in his place. We'll have the Crusher Crossen Canary show like we usually do in the first half hour where we go back and forth. And I
put people to sleep.
And I basically embarrass his ass and I school him and I give him a tongue lashing, and that's what I do. So I'm looking forward to that.
And the audience to sleep.
And it's fun. We have fun with it, and we're gonna have fun on that one. But then when Daryl comes on, we're going to shift gears and have a good, fascinating discussion, and we'll see what's going on. He's got some footage for me as well of their training sessions and stuff, so it's going to be interesting to see how they're coming along, and that's what we got going on there. The next time Dave and I are on, we've seen the preview for this one up on the Video Network here on the first of the year, but we're going to be watching this one on January 23rd, which is 2 days after yours truly, Crusher Crossen, turns 55 years young. 2 days after my birthday on this one, Dave.
Senior citizen, then.
A legendary citizen, I would say. Not senior, a legendary.
Citizen. Ricky, this is directed at you. Please don't ever get Crossen in the ring. You don't want to get arrested for senior citizen abuse.
Yeah, he says Canary Kid was on the other day, and he has Canary Kid has a Crusher Crossen shirt because he's a wannabe, and he puts it on his dartboard and says he's practicing darts and throwing darts, and he's getting really good at it now with the shirt up there. So, and then he says he has the NWF Forward shirt and it's got a picture of me and him. And he says, I think I'm going to cut out this big obese guy and put in maybe John McCann or Ben Nelson or Dixie Dave, he actually said. Now, there's a shirt that would be worth putting on the dartboard, if I might say. So there's that.
Well, you know, this is one of the best shirts that the NWF has right here.
I do like the design.
You know,
like the design.
You know, it's one of the best shirts that we have. You know, obviously Dixie Dave's on there twice, so it's a really good shirt.
Yeah, because Dixie Dave. Wait a minute. Now, let's see. You got in there for tag team
with the most votes. Who? Let's see. What was the team that we beat out to be the number one voted tag team for the Hall of Fame this year?
Who was it? I can't remember.
I believe that we beat out. Let me think here. It was. Let me see. Dr. Dread and one Crusher Crossen.
But who was on the ballot in 2 different tag teams and was splitting my votes? And if you combine all that, who would have won? Crusher Crossen. Nice try, Dave, but it didn't work.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yep. Nice try, though. Let's like it tell Ricky.
Woulda. You know, the fact still stands. The number one voted tag team by our fan base was Dixie Dave and Rattlesnake Jake.
But, you're kind of like Ricky Henry. I keep showing him really cool videos I find that are kind of older, and he always points out, gee, my mom was only 7 years old here. My dad was only 2 years old there. He's trying to psych me out to make me feel too old and that he's this young whippersnapper. Nice try, Canary, but it's not working.
We all know that you're old, but that's, I'm only a couple years behind you, so I'm not trying to play the age game. I'm just trying to throw out facts,
So wait.
It could also be said, Crusher, that the reason that you put yourself in there on 2 different tag teams is to try and give yourself 2 chances to win.
Honestly, the reason I put myself on 2 different tag teams, and you know this, because I didn't want to. I was hoping I would disqualify myself in both cases. Because I wanted other people to get in. Yeah.
But, if you would have only had 1 tag team going in this year, it would have been Rattlesnake and I.
Yeah, Rattlesnake and I, who I allowed to get the NWF National Tag Team Championship that night.
Well, it was simply the fact you needed a good match.
And Dave...
And nobody was willing to step up to say, hey, I'll do it.
So...
And yours opened his big yapper.
So, Dave, you win the national tag titles when I tell you win the national tag titles.
Well, it was a way of you trying to bury me in another category so you wouldn't have to face me in the ring one-on-one.
Well, that match might have happened if Dixie Dave made the top 10 in the ratings. But...
Well, when you got a promoter burying you.
Well, that you're burying yourself because you made all those trips to Florida and weren't in competition.
Well, it's like I always say, family first.
Now, listen, Wayne says this. What do you think? Without Cyndi Lauper, WrestleMania would have never happened. You agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the celebrity status, not just of Cyndi Lauper, but everybody, all those celebrities.
Well, you honestly look at it, he's got a very valid point because, okay, NWA had their Starrcade.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the national phenomenon that WrestleMania has become. AWA had their Super Clash or, their big cards, but they never became the phenomenon that WrestleMania has become.
No.
The only sporting events that are really bigger than WrestleMania is your NFL Super Bowl, your NBA's championship, your Stanley Cup. Those are the only, you think about it, WrestleMania has run over 40 years now.
Yeah.
The only things that have run longer are things like the NFL Super Bowl, the NBA championships.
Yeah.
You know, you look back in history, Starrcade only went, what, 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
Super Clash, there was only like 3.
Well, pay-per-view, there's only one.
You know, and that was the third one.
Yeah.
You know, what was the name of that card that they held at the Metrodome?
Okay. I see what Wayne's saying here. This is why he says this. And I agree with this. Lopper made the rock and wrestling connection that got WWF on MTV, that brought the WWF to a bigger audience. And that really was the kickoff to it, really.
It was. I'll freely admit it.
But all these guys that say that, you know, WCW didn't have the marketing because they weren't nationwide, like people didn't know them in the North, that's bullshit. Everybody watched TBS in this country. Everybody was familiar with Flair and all that. You can't say that, oh, they didn't know these guys. That's such hogwash. It wasn't, you're right, Dave. It wasn't that. It was the fact that they didn't have the other entertaining aspect to it that Vince was doing.
You know, the first 10, 15 years, Vince would always bring celebrity names in to work WrestleMania. And eventually he got it big enough where he didn't need to bring those names in anymore. And he did it basically off the wrestling itself.
Right.
I mean, Wayne, you're still in the Minnesota area. You can back me up on this. It's getting to the point where some people may not believe me on this, but mark my words, it will happen. SummerSlam, not this year, but next year, will be a 2-day event. You know, WWE's taking a page out of Japan's supercards. You know, Wayne, you'll have to help me with this. Japan has their, I believe it's called Wrestle Kingdom. Every year, I believe it's in January, and they've turned it into a 2-day event. WWE is now following suit. WrestleMania has already become a 2-day event.
Wasn't WrestleMania like a week-long thing? The whole WrestleMania experience? And
I'm saying the actual wrestling.
Well, the wrestling, yeah, I get it. I get you, yeah.
It's in 2026. Mark my words, mark your calendars, August 1st and 2nd. WWE will be holding their SummerSlam event here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's going to be August 1st and 2nd. It's going to be a 2-day event. Whether they do a 2-day event this year, I don't know.
Yeah.
But next year, you can see you heard it here first. SummerSlam will also be a 2-day event.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, so that's like, but my point though is that, you know, the pay-per-view that Crockett did and Vern did. Well, here's Vern's problem. He does Wrestle Rock. He actually gets the name, right? That's an awesome name, an awesome marketable name. But you don't do Wrestle Rock and then have a country act. Wasn't it Waylon Jennings?
Something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's not Wrestle Rock. So it's like Vern screwed up there. Now, if he would have had a good rock band in there, that might have done something. So that's just Vern not being with the times, you know?
And you know what I respect that WWE is doing now? Okay, Wayne says yes, it was Waylon Jennings.
Yeah. It's like nobody, you don't advertise Wrestle Rock and have a country act. That's just country western, whatever. It's just not going to work.
You know, and one thing I respect that WWE is doing now is when they have these big WrestleManias and things like that, they're not bringing in big, huge name stars to like sing the national anthem. They're bringing in up and coming names for doing the national anthem and
And the card too with Wrestle Rock, just to touch on that. I mean, you mentioned Super Clash. Super Clash 85 was excellent. You know, you had Crockett, you had Gagne, you had WCCW involved. I think even, I don't know if Mid-South was in there, but there was somebody, I think maybe Portland had some guy or two. They had a good variety. It was a good card. When he did Wrestle Rock, he didn't have Crockett's guys. So it was a much more diluted crew of guys.
Right.
So it just wasn't the same. And then, of course, when he tried doing Super Clash again in Chicago, it was kind of like the B squad. You know, it was Memphis, you know, a very failing WCCW at the time.
Yep.
And Kerry Von Erich was the only real draw there. And it was a good match. Lawler and Von Erich, that was a hell of a good match. But
Lawler carried Kerry through a good match.
And Cactus Jack taking a back body drop on the concrete. Remember, no padding in the AWA.
Nope.
So that was pretty impressive. But yeah, there was a lot of shitty matches on that one, though. So, but who are we to talk about shitty matches? We've had our shares.
Look at
yeah, we just watched one, yeah. So, anyways, it's been a good show. I suppose we should start to wrap it up. We've been rambling away.
Yep.
So, like I said, I'll be back on Sunday with Keaton. It should be a fascinating discussion with Marty Jones. I'm really looking forward to that. And then in a week from Friday, I'm looking forward to verbally beating up the kid, Canary Kid, as I always do. And that will take place as well. It's always entertaining.
Canary, please carry a good show. Please.
I just love needling. I love needling. That's what I do best. You know that, Dave. Championship, yeah, Wayne, I gotta say, they stopped it because of the blood. And that's what I did like about Vern, the realism he brought to the business. Like it was still real in the AWA as far as Vern was concerned. So he brought that real kayfabe style.
But you know, that I can think of, there's only been 2 matches stopped due to blood, and they've both been BS calls. You know, the Kerry Von Erich, Jerry Lawler match. You know, Kerry didn't want to get pinned in the match, so they figured out a way for him to lose because Vern didn't trust Kerry.
Right.
And the Luger
Kerry would have been a better champion, though.
Yeah. But with him not being reliable for showing up, because he already had a history of no showing.
Well, Kerry had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But marketing wise, he was a much better, would have been a much better champion. No offense to Lawler, but it just, you know, Lawler wasn't. Look, Lawler in '88 was already past his peak. His peak was Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
That was the peak of Jerry Lawler. The whole David Letterman thing. That was a peak for Lawler. That really put Lawler on the map, really. Otherwise, Lawler was just a territory guy before that. So, but, you know, people had already kind of forgotten about Lawler almost by the time he got into Super Clash. Like, he wasn't mainstream. Like Kerry Von Erich, you know, WCCW next to the AWA had the next best circulation in the television markets. So people knew that product.
Yep.
Just in syndication and stuff. And I think, didn't WCCW get on ESPN with the AWA as well? At one point? Yeah. So, you know, and that's the other thing. People say Vern should have never went. When Vince says Vern should have never went into New York, you don't know this market. You don't have. Look, Vern was on ESPN. Everybody that was a wrestling fan knew the AWA. It's not that. It's just, you know.
Vern wasn't with the times.
He wasn't with the times, is what it was. And
That's
people didn't.
The AWA. You know, his son was, you know, sorry, Greg, but his son was not marketable.
No, he wasn't. As a tag team wrestler, absolutely. High Flyers totally worked.
Right.
But not as a singles guy.
But, you know, I mean, the only time Greg ever really held a title by himself was under Daddy's watchful eye.
And look at nobody even thinks of that belt anymore because who held it? You know,
Greg Gagne, Larry Zbyszko.
Right. It's like, yeah. No, I know. Greg was you know, Greg was great though. I think Greg was actually pretty good at some of his booking ideas. He had a much better mind than Vern did for the way wrestling needs to go.
Yeah.
Trouble with Greg though, and I'm no offense, Greg, but Greg likes to take credit for a lot of things that he never really did. If you ever listen to his interviews and stuff out there, he's like, he claims he brought Hogan to the WCCW. He makes a lot of claims that are very questionable. So you just don't know what to believe with him.
Well, as in wrestling, you know, only believe about 25% of what you see.
Right. Well, and when it comes to Greg, you know, Greg is basically, for those of the music fans out there, Greg Gagne is the Mike Love of professional wrestling. He just tries to take credit where he does not need to be taking credit for.
Right.
So, you know. All right, guys, we've been rambling away. Dave and I could keep going on and on and on here. We're kind of like the Energizer Bunny as well. I told Ricky Henry he's the Energizer Bunny because his mouth keeps going, but we have the same problem.
Well, you know, I mean, between the two of us, we've got almost a decade of wrestling knowledge, or we've got almost a century of wrestling knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, we've forgotten more things than most people nowadays know.
That's true.
You know.
And hell, we had the chance to do wrestling as kids during a time when a lot of kids wish they could have.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so.
You know, I'd like to think that we inspired people like the Hardys and all that had their own federations as kids.
Right. Well, I know we have inspired people. Wrestling Revolution Keaton's one of them. So.
By the way, hello, Keaton.
Yep, he's
number one Dixie Dave fans.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't made your way on his show any one of these days. I know Keaton's got plans to talk to Charlie Lane, and he's gonna have him on, and I think Jamie McParland, just because the Irish Terror gimmick, very appealing. So yeah. So yeah, it's been a good show, guys. I hope you don't mind Dave and I rambling. We like to do that.
And, you know, you're welcome for me gracing you with my presence again.
But it's been a fun show, you know, because it's been a while since we've been on, so we went a little longer tonight, just because we might like to have a little fun talking. So, and Dave, we get last little bit of it with you trying to get connected. I'm just gonna have to keep sending you like invite links for collaboration. It's the only thing I can do.
Yep.
It'll work.
So. I'm sorry, those other links you sent me, it would take me to the.
Yeah, and that's, believe me, I know. I believe you, because this is I've seen that happen before. I think that's kind of like Mike Grimsley's problem.
Yep, I showed you what it was doing.
I don't know, and I wish I had the answer to why that is, but.
Well, talk to Evie Mux. I mean,
if they could just let me have 2 collaborators, it would solve everything. But
without spending a lot of money.
Right. Oh, well, that's just behind the scenes talk by Dave and I. But guys, remember, if you missed the beginning, listen to what we talked about. Some very exciting things down the line, hopefully, we can share with you in due time. So
for now, I'm Dixie Dave. That's the 5-time loser, Crusher Crossen. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
See you next time, folks.